these calamities have passed by. And so we push the conference until this challenge we have in the nation has passed. But of course, we trust God. Kenya will stabilize, and all the things that have been raised will be taken care of by our leaders, so that we can have a united nation to the glory of God. So from us, we say God bless you. Let's remain in prayer.
Shalom.
And shalom.
God bless you.
Welcome back. This is the GG Report, and we are talking about the way forward, the vision, the Gen Z's vision for good governance. And my guests here have been, addressing some of the issues that have come out of the last 3-4 weeks of, political activation. And, we've laid out, my guests here have laid out the vision, what they think actually this country should look like, rule of law, and rule of law, a working service, development across the country, independence from interference by foreign actors, foreign bodies. I think some of the two organizations named is World Bank and IMF, and others. And then of course, an education, security and health systems that are working, and again the rule of law applied to all, and the institutionalization of the same, and again the other issue of separation of power. So those are some of the issues we've been dealing with, and my guests here, I am going to be asking them to also talk about the issue. Let's talk about this very touchy issue of competence. All right. So one of the big issues that have been raised, apart from corruption, we know that's a big monster. But then on top of that, a layer is being added, the layer of, okay, these guys are not only corrupt, they are actually incompetent. So that's a very interesting issue, and very, very touchy. So, Bwana Munene, so how do we deal, or how can that be resolved actually?
Okay. And before I answer that, maybe before we went on the break, there's a very good question you asked, my brother Mokua, about maybe allow me to answer that, to give a few points, and then I answer on the incompetence. Yeah. You asked of, what are some of the other ways we can do or we are doing to put pressure on leaders. And remember last time I was here, I talked about us using what we know best. And currently, there's a ChatGPT for corruption. Okay. Some Gen Zs have developed a ChatGPT to list all the corruption cases in Kenya of the current crop of leaders. We have another Excel sheet that shows per DMs. And actually, the last 2 days, people have been calculating the number of the budget that counties have used just to travel, and Meru has used 900 million for travel we cannot even account for. Then we have another system for recalling. There's actually a system for recalling MPs, but the guy who developed that was arrested in Kahawa Sukari. I hope he's safe, or I hope he was released. And so we are using technology to put our leaders to accountability. And also there's some talk of us, developing technology to hold even the IEBC accountable when that time comes. So that is what we will do to keep on doing that. To the issue of incompetency, it is it is a coin that has two sides: incompetency and complacency. And so you find that the incompetency here is, number one, track record; number two, arrogance of the leaders; and then number three is the expertise of these particular leaders who are in office.
All right.
And we take a good example of the CS for agriculture. There was a very heavy issue of fake fertilizer. And then every time he did a presser, he was talking about, he was very arrogant. He was saying that the other parties who did the expose are criminals and so many other things. And actually this fertilizer went through all the process to determine that it's actually fake.
Okay, you know, there's one among the many things we can address, and I want to bring it to Mokua, not that I want to cut you down. Look, arrogance. Can you actually prosecute a case in court and the crime is arrogant? Is there something like that legally prosecutable?
No.
So that's my discomfort. I mean, not that I don't accept arrogance as a moral issue, but it is not possible to actually prosecute somebody in court, in a Kenyan court, in any court in particular, and the crime is arrogance. So I think one of the things I see Gen Z are missing out is conflicting. You know, somebody can be arrogant, all right? And maybe some level of arrogance might be needed. You know, like a good footballer, you know, some of those very, very good footballers, they display arrogance, I'm telling you. And the crowd cheers, you know, when they humiliate the other side. So maybe we need to be a little bit careful so that we don't really assume that arrogance is something that actually somebody can be prosecuted for. It is actually in the moral domain, and it is really very difficult to quantify. So yes, of course, display of arrogance is something that is detestable. It is not really, it is unacceptable, especially for a leader, especially given the position. So humility, perhaps, is something that we can say. We demand humility. But I think it would be wrong to say that you are guilty of taking away money, but you're also guilty of crime number two, arrogance. You know, yeah, we can handle the money bit. But
Can I say something?
yes.
In my view, Matiang'i was very arrogant.
Okay.
Matiang'i was very arrogant.
Oh, all right.
But some people can say he was competent on his job.
Yes.
He knew what he was doing. So you can be competent, but also arrogant.
Yes.
But also on the issue of competence, probably I could also give my definition of competence.
Yes.
My definition of competence is, okay, you can be competent for one thing and incompetent for the other.
Yes, certainly.
Yeah, competence, in my view, is being able to do what you are legally mandated to do.
Okay.
Yes, as per law. For instance, a member of parliament, you are supposed to legislate, to make laws. Sudi has never been to parliament. Number two, representation. You
Yes.
represent your people, and also oversight. The problem we have with our parliament right now is they have failed to legislate and to oversight. So representation actually is dead. That is why we went to the streets, because they were not representing our views as Gen
And
Zs.
by the way, I thought, and maybe you can also feel, I'm not cutting you. The idea that there is a certain minimum number of sessions you can miss in Parliament.
8
8 of them.
Yes.
And so
Consecutive.
is it that these guys are actually just playing games with us?
You know, there are always, I do not know, but there are always games around that. It is 8 consecutive. So you can show up for the 6th and then you wait.
Sign the register.
And actually what they do is sometimes they do come, sign and leave.
Okay.
They come for the committees because there's a sitting allowance for the committee sittings. They come, sit, sign and leave.
Okay.
And actually I think they used to sign in the morning, one sitting and another sitting in the afternoon. So they sign for 2, they earn their, but they never do anything.
Okay.
They're just waiting for the top down instructions from State House.
Okay.
So there is no oversight and there is no proper legislation. And we actually do not have a working opposition in Kenya. So Gen Z are the official opposition.
There you go. There you go. Gen Z, you are the official position. You better do your job very well. And so far, you're doing very well. So far, you've really put, everybody on their very, very back foot. So that's a good thing. So, yes. So before I interrupted you, we were talking about the whole issue of competence and all that. A number of people have been named that they are incompetent and stuff like that. Maybe there was something else you wanted to say about that. Yes. And what can be done to correct that? Actually, in Gen view, what should the president do? Right.
I think the president should tone down on political appointments. It's very clear that the CS, 100% of the CSs are there because of their political weight. Perhaps they can influence a certain region. Perhaps they can influence a certain group of leaders who have influence in, over certain people and so on and so forth. Some have very big, bank accounts who can come in when that is needed. So I think the president needs to tone down on that and then go for really competent people, and then because we see
domain expert, maybe. Yes, that's what you're saying.
We bring in domain expert, but from the past we have seen, even those domain experts who are brought to government, it's like the first meeting they are told this is a political appointment.
Okay.
So you see someone who was really good, for example, in the corporate world, they come to serve in government, and you wonder what happened to this guy. So the president needs to tell them there's no politics for you. You are strictly serving the people of Kenya. If you're the CS for health, there's no politics. And I love what the example he gave about Matiang'i. We really loved him as a leader because education worked when he was there, security worked when he was there, and so on. Yes.
Yeah, including Professor, Magoha. Yeah, I think he was very, very competent.
Yes.
I mean, a professor, having been a vice chancellor of one of the leading universities in Kenya, he sure knew his way around the education sector. Absolutely. But maybe, and Mokua, you can comment on this. I think when the constitution was formulated, and the first government took power, Uhuru and Ruto, actually, the same Ruto, there was, I think, an understanding that the CSs, the cabinet secretary, and we were shifting actually from the old order. There was an understanding that these are going to be coming out outside the political elite, and you remember there was even a separation where if you're a member of parliament, you can't be a member of parliament and a cabinet secretary, like the old order. So clearly, the president or the executive has the space to actually hire a former Microsoft CEO and bring him as a, say, communication secretary or something like that, or technology or whatever it is, because there is that provision. You don't have to be a member of parliament. What happened to that?
Professor Okoth Ogendo once wrote a paper of constitutions without constitutionalism.
Okay.
We have a constitution that we don't have constitutionalism.
Okay.
Why I say that is we have very good laws and we keep on over-legislating on small things.
Yes.
The idea behind that was to separate the executive from the legislature, and the legislature to provide good oversight so that we don't have politicians on both sides.
Yes.
We have the president and the deputy as the politicians, and then they have technocrats, people who can make decisions under them and inform decision without fearing being unpopular.
Right.
And to some point, Magoha was that, and Matiang'i to some point. At some point, Matiang'i became political, but Magoha was firmly a technocrat. He did not fear to be wrong. And people have, we do not demand them to be perfect, but at least he did not fear to be wrong. He made decisions he believed were in the best interest of the public. Now what we envisioned was a system whereby we do not have politicians in the executive. Unfortunately, that is what we have, particularly for this.
Yes, yeah, we've backslidden.
Perhaps what we could have done in the constitution was to say someone should not be appointed to an appointive political office, including the cabinet, if you have been a member of a political party for the perhaps the past 5 years. Probably you could have cured that. Probably you could have cured that. But with the current situation, we are back to where we was. But also, I admit, sometimes you need these people who have experience in the political space to run the cabinet office, because it's also a very political office. Beyond, even in government, even in civil service, beyond certain positions, you will need to also understand the politics of public service.
Okay. Yeah, so certainly that's the dilemma. So the president is caught in between the rock and a very hard place. Yeah. So he has to have, I'm stopping short of naming names because they're popular names. You know, we all know the guys who, some of them were running for governor, others were running for other positions. And so, and you remember the famous, the statement associated with the deputy president, although we will not repeat the statement here. But you know, it rubbed people the wrong way, because actually there was that sense of, look, the executive is constituted in a way to say, look, these are the troops, these are the guys who brought us into the office, and so it's important for us to be fair and square in how we take care of them. So that's politics in Kenya, and thank you very much indeed, those of you that are following this conversation. The Gen Zs, they are bringing out all the issues here, and I do believe those of you that are tuned in, you're following this conversation. So we don't have so much time, but so the issue of competence is a very tricky. Is there something else you wanted to add to that, so that then we summarize that, and we can move on to the future? Where do we want to see the future?
I think I'd add being complacent as leaders across board, starting with government, where anything goes, because number one, again, I hear that it's very hard to lose a job in government because of how it is laid out. So for example, you find that there's a joke that people in government come to work at 10 a.m. alafu wanasoma gazeti 2 hours, alafu wanaenda lunch, and then they come serve you for 2 hours, and then they go home. It's a joke, but we know where the joke is coming from. So that complacency in government really needs to stop. Government should be even faster than corporate. You see the way corporate works, very excellently. That's how government should be working in terms of delivering its services across board. So we really need to look at how we are executing, how we are carrying ourselves as leaders, especially when you're in government. Yes.
Oh, okay. Sometimes I would like to ask. There's a question I want to ask. Do you think that this current government, they have done 2 years, plus comparing to the previous administration and the previous one before that, are we actually on an upward trajectory in terms of government and delivery of services, or even improvement, proactive delivery of service to mwananchi? Are we going in the, which direction are we going? Are we declining in terms of output, or are we improving? Or where do you see this going? If you look at the long term, Moi government, I don't know how much of that Uhuru government and the current government, about 20 months of the current government.
For me, I'd say the goodwill for service delivery is there. And we have to appreciate that. We have seen so many services being, there's that goodwill of, for example, Huduma services, healthcare, security, etc. So there's that goodwill. But it's like the system is not allowing for that to come into fruition.
Okay.
And the system here is that every new platform for excellent service delivery is being met by very heavy and rampant corruption, very heavy and rampant in incompetence, where you find leaders are employing their kin to boards, you know, just for the sake of it, or for legacy and so on. So that would be my my answer. I know I have not answered it correctly.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I think you concede that certain services have improved.
Yeah.
But certainly you would like to see more. You'd like to see more transparency. So,
Yes.
so for example, appointments
Yes.
as transparent as possible, and the conflicts of interest issues are dealt with, so that then, you know, I don't appoint my wife, you know,
Yes.
to a member of the board in terms of the organization that I lead or something like that. These are moral issues, you see. So I think it comes beyond, it goes beyond the law and then become a moral issue. So certainly it doesn't quite feel. And Gen Z, you guys are unforgiving, right?
Like just to a minute, just for example, the new chief, why can't it work for the 50 million Kenyans? You know, education, why can't we have quality education across board from primary to university? So we have seen that goodwill, but we don't know where the implementation is lacking, and it is lacking because of corruption, incompetence, and so on.
Okay, good. Your rating, are we getting worse, or the same, or slight improvement, or a lot of improvement?
We are not getting value for money.
Okay.
We are not getting value for what we believe in,
Okay.
and what we voted for.
All right.
Yes, I am one of the people who believe that Ruto won the elections, but
Okay.
then, and because I am an election law expert, so at least I participated in these processes.
Yes.
But what we are getting is a raw deal.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
in some instances they might want to be serving us, but then in my view there is too much pilferage of public funds as opposed to service. They are there to eat first and then serve later.
Okay.
And I think that is the biggest problem, and that is what is angering Kenyans the most. They are eating, showing largesse, and actually telling us you cannot do anything. We are in government, and government is our business.
Okay.
So you can, though there are a few things, I commend the president for instance, trying to expand the tax base, not in the idea of increasing taxes, but broadening the number of people that can pay tax. You know, that is a very good way of raising money equitably, so that not very few people pay more while others don't pay.
Okay.
And also trying to centralize the collection of funds. It also helps to avoid money being embezzled, being paid to private accounts for public services.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, and also there is the idea of, it's escaping my mind, but then, yeah, I think there are a few ways they are doing well, but in most instances they are guided by greed rather than the need to serve.
Yeah, certainly. I think I agree with you that overall, I think the thing that irks Kenyans is because I think we really are confident that we can do way better with the volume of revenue that is coming in. I think one of the gentlemen I've interviewed on this set is actually recently speaking in another forum. He said Kenya doesn't have a problem of revenue.
Yeah.
We have a problem of
collection.
We have
And
a problem of
accountability.
corruption and proper utilization of the resources.
Yeah.
So austerity. We have a problem of austerity. We really not. Maybe let me ask you guys. Do you think there are some decisions that the president may want to make, but they are too costly politically? If he made the decision, even though he knows the right thing to do, it will cost him politically.
Yes. if I may go first.
Yes, go.
You know, the presidency is a political office.
Yes.
There are things you don't do
Yes.
in your first term in office.
Yes.
And I have good intelligence from my friends who are close to the president.
Yes. Yeah.
And this is just a perfect example.
Yes.
Why is he not ready to solve the border menace?
Okay.
Why is he not ready to solve the border menace? Because these are the people who voted for him.
Yes.
So, in as much as they might go wrong out here,
Yes.
if he tries to make laws that affect them negatively but brings order
Yes.
to the state and security, because the border is actually the biggest gap in our security sector,
Okay.
he's going to be voted out. So, the same way he cannot lose, he has been unable to lose people like maybe probably Githira Linturi,
Yes.
who has been implicated in serious cases of corruption,
Yes.
because maybe of their political force,
Okay.
and the community they come from.
Yeah.
We also have an inequitable allocation of public offices for the Kalenjin and the Kikuyus. Why? Because of their political muscle. Like my community doesn't have a single PS.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
my community doesn't have a single PS in government. But because you are politically insignificant,
I know. Well, we would not say more. We could get this show, shut down. No, but I'm saying on a light note. But yes, there are actual serious grievances that exist, and the Gen Z have said we don't care. All right, but I mean we can call it as it is, name it.
and shame.
And name and shame. So I think, and that's where I think some people think I'm actually against Gen Z, but certainly me, I'm looking at the issue, fairly. Like the issue of, for example, the president is caught between the rock and the hard place, and there was a headline like that this week, actually. Yes. So he could fire that guy. We all know that fellow should be fired. But look, the political
consequences
are huge. So maybe Gen Z should just accept both. I think maybe when you become a president, you might try those tricks. But it's very, very difficult. We have just a few minutes remaining. My guests. So let me just note that Downwind Chinga here is tuned in. Another gentleman here called Fawcett Cyber and moves on time. He thinks that this conversation is actually on time. Those of you that are following this conversation on the Facebook page, you're welcome. And let's keep this conversation going. I believe that it is time for Kenyans to have a real conversation. Let's not be afraid to raise our issues. Let's not be afraid to say what we think and put out our voice out there. And I think that is what has been achieved by Gen Z. You guys, started the conversation. You have used all the tools in your arsenal, and that has worked so well. Everybody is very, very happy that you did sent everybody scrambling for safety. So, Mr. Munene, what else are we not talking about in this whole conversation as we wrap this up?
I think what we are not talking about is the tribal card, which is still there.
What again?
The tribal card.
Okay.
Where the old generation is still stuck at, mtu wetu narrative, our tribe narrative. And so you find that they will want to, and it has been very evident this past week where that card was, brought out against the Gen Z movement. And it was brought out to bring mayhem and, to make it look like the Gen Zs were the ones causing all the trouble. And we know where all that trouble came from. And so I believe it's high time we speak to each and every generation that the time for us to be tribal is over, and we know that, tribe is used to really divide us further and to create those gaps that bring in these tribal kingpins who again gather together to
and they create poor governance.
Yes.
So we have the laws, but there are too many interests.
Yes.
Really. Okay. So I'm cutting you short because we are wrapping this up. Bwana Mokua, what are we also not talking about as we wrap this up?
I just want to say that politics and the rule of law are actually going in parallel directions.
Okay.
And that is my main worry. Professor Githira has written a book on politics and the law. And one of the things I gather is that politics has a very close relationship with the rule of law, but I think in states like Kenya that we have not institutionalized the rule of law properly, politics tend to override
The rule of law.
we saw someone shoot a person blatantly on the head during the elections period. He's still walking free in the streets.
Okay.
So those are some of the things, because he's politically connected and because he's a politician.
He's an MP.
Yes, it's Didmas Baraza, you
Yeah.
know. But if I did that, I would probably not be here today.
Okay.
So you understand now what we're talking about, that we need to tie the law to our politics, because clearly we are not.
Okay, absolutely. Look, gentlemen, we're going to end here, and I really love the way you've ended it. We have to tie the law to our politics. If we're going to really make progress, yes, it is. We can deal with the issues of the moral failures and shortcomings, incompetence, arrogance, and all the other, moral, shortcomings of our leaders, and display of opulence, and all that, very distasteful to the younger generation, who actually think that look, if you have money, please don't just show. All right, we are struggling down here. So absolutely amazing. So please look at that camera, Munene, and in 1 minute just wish our viewers something, one message, positive message, as we wrap this up. You have 30 seconds.
Thank you so much. As we wrap up, this is a rallying call to us Kenyans. We need to continue this this call of holding our leaders accountable, us being involved in governance. Governance is our business. Politics is our business. It is affecting each and every aspect of our life. And so, and as we do that, each and every other aspect of society, be it corporate, be it churches, and so on, let us adhere to good governance, because that is where it stems from. When you become a good leader from those small spaces, as you grow up into government offices, you will have that character.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Munene, Githira there, thank you so much. Sorry. Yeah. My brother Mokua, Manyara, your final comments here.
Thank you. To the leaders of this nation, please heed to the call of representation. To the Gen Zs, you are our real heroes, and please do not tire. We have the victory, and we must continue fighting for our space. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. And I must say that this is a very good place to end. Thank you so much for staying tuned in. This has been the Gigi Report, and I've truly enjoyed the conversation. I believe you have learned. You've heard from two of the members of the Gen Z, and let's all do our part. Let's make this nation great. Let's make this country good for ourselves. We are the future, and therefore let's do our best. God bless you so much, and thank you for staying tuned. Please keep it Elevate. I will be back same time, same channel, Elevate TV. God bless you, and good night for now. Bye.